Many, many years ago, before there were any laws against this kind of thing, Niagara Falls happened to be the site for a whole lot of daredevil episodes. You may recall how some people, tried to go over the falls in a barrel and survive. There were some who tried to swim and tried to survive. Some did survive, some did not. Well, there was this one particular acrobat named Clifford Cleverly. And again, this is many, many years ago, but it's historical. They actually have photos of it there at the museum at the falls. He made it public, that he was going to walk across the falls on a tightrope. And if that wasn't hazardous sounding enough, he said that when he was going to walk across the falls on a tightrope, that he was going to be pushing a wheelbarrow too. Well, people were amazed and horrified all at once. And this guy was kind of a publicity addict, like some daredevils are. And so to kind of add to the hype of this event that was coming in the future, he set up kind of a practice tightrope in a big open field not far from the falls. And he would go out there from day to day and get up on the high wire and, practice walking across a tightrope. And the public would gather. And journalists would gather. And on this one particular day when he was up there practicing, the crowd below was way more negative than usual. And they started calling out to him, "You're crazy. You'll never do it. It's like suicide. You'll never make it across." Well, this went on and on, the jeering and the ridiculing. And there was one guy in the crowd who was listening to this, and he thought, if Clifford really allows all this negativity to sort of get absorbed by him, it may affect his self-confidence and maybe he'll fall. And so this guy decided that he was going to try something different. So he started calling out, "You can do it. You're a skilled acrobat. You've always been successful." And all of a sudden, Clifford up on the tightrope heard these very positive cheers, and he stopped and he looked down to try to identify this fan, and he did, and he saw him, and he called down to him, "Why, thank you, sir. I really appreciate your confidence in me. Because you see, I've been looking for someone who would ride in the wheelbarrow." It was in 1892 that Clifford Cleverly walked a tightrope across Niagara Falls, pushing a wheelbarrow that remained empty. The easy moral of that story, I think, is that, so often we say things, maybe even belief statements, and we're really not ready to act on them. Because if we acted on them, there would really be risks and sacrifices and challenges. Well, today, as we mark an anniversary of ordination, I'm mindful that God, in fact, has sort of prepared a wheelbarrow for every one of us. In our church language, we refer to vocation. There's priesthood and ministry in the church. There's marriage. There's single life. Certainly, each of these three that the church has always really espoused are a kind of wheelbarrow that God prepares for us and invites us to get into. And sometimes as God pushes us along on this great ride, sometimes and so often it's just a wonderfully pleasant ride with so many good people along the way, with all kinds of benefits and blessings and graces, with all kinds of wonderful experiences. But then there's times when it's an uphill ride. And it's much more difficult. And yet, God keeps pushing. And sometimes, maybe because of our insecurities, our wiggling throws the weight around in the wheelbarrow, and maybe gets us off course a little bit now and then. But we try to trust in the one who pledges to be with us, to direct us, to push us along, sometimes pull us along. And especially at those times when that ride seems to be so scary, like that tightrope, God promises somehow to be with us. And we profess our faith in God's power and wisdom and direction. On the sixth Sunday of Easter, we hear in the gospel selection today a portion of Jesus' farewell discourse to his apostles at the Last Supper in John's gospel. We only get this long farewell speech of Jesus at the Last Supper in John's gospel. And at this portion of the speech, Jesus is telling them, he's trying to give them the idea that he's going away, but he's not going to leave them alone. He's not leaving them orphans. He's sending the Spirit as an advocate who will continue to guide and direct them in their ways. And certainly God promises that same Spirit advocate for all of us as well, in whatever wheelbarrow we find ourselves riding in life. And so we ask our God this day to kind of strengthen that belief that we profess in the power of God to manage all aspects and experiences of our lives and direct us, not just as individuals, but as a community, toward Him, remembering the promise that God will, in fact, stay with us always. He will not leave us orphaned. He will get us to the other side.